The server we are using today is a dual processor E2670, which is running at 2.6 gig, and that is a 16 core, so that's 32 threads in total, with 128 gigs of ECC RAM. And we're going to stick a normal desktop GPU in here, and we're going to see how it plays a handful of games. So first off, we're going to do the most popular one at the moment, which is still Fortnite. So let's give that a go now. So on this one we are running Windows Server 2016, which still should run most of the things that we're going to chuck at it. And we're going to start with Fortnite, because as I said a moment ago, it's probably the most popular game at this moment in time, at the making of this video. So we're going to run the games and the benchmarks at the minute with the bog standard Matrox G200. Yep, believe it or not, this has a Matrox G200 in it. And I don't hold much hope for this running anything graphically at all, so let's see what happens. We're not running off of SSDs. The OS is running off an SSD, but the games are on a standard SATA drive, and loading times are not the best. This is taking a while. So as I expected, it's not going to run Fortnite, simply because the Matrox G200 does not support DirectX 10, which Fortnite needs to run. So I'd imagine that's going to be the same with any of the things that we're going to run on it. So things like Heaven Benchmark and Superposition don't stand a chance, but we're going to try it anyway, because why not? So I'm going to quit Fortnite and we're going to try Heaven. Well, Heaven is loading. That's something. It's loading slowly, but it's loading. It's loading very slowly. Might want to go make a drink for this bit. It's still loading. I think actually I'm going to forget this bit and we'll skip on to the next one. So as I expected, the Matrox G200 is not going to run any of the benchmarks that I wanted to run on it, clearly because DirectX isn't supported on it. It's a silly thing to try, but we got to try these things anyway, haven't we? For you lot. Anyway, we're going to now put a graphics card in the server, and for that I'm going to need something extra. Because the server doesn't support GPUs, and they're not really designed for GPUs, at least this server isn't anyway, I'm going to have to stick a power supply and plug that one in, and then plug the GPU into this power supply separately, and do a kind of thing at the end to power the power supply. So we're going to do that, and we'll continue in a moment. So as we can see here, I don't know if the camera can see that, servers are not designed for GPUs. So basically the slot that is actually the full size times 16 PCIe slot is not very well positioned for putting a GPU in. We've got the RAM in the way, which means I can't push that down. So what I'm going to have to do is put it over to a times 8 slot. In fact, they're all times 8 slots in this one. And you will be able to run even a modern day GPU at times 8 with minimal frame loss. So we have fitted a GTX 560 Ti, the Hawk Edition from MSI, and to do that, as I said earlier, we've had to attach a separate power supply, I can move you over a little bit, to power the GPU, because the power supplies that come with servers don't generally have the 8-pin power connectors for GPUs. So that's all running. We've got it running up on the screen up there. And Will, if you would like to load up Fortnite and see if you can play now, we put a GPU in the server. So if you want to load up Fortnite, let's see how long this one takes. Clicking on launch. More importantly than the speed it takes to load is how well it runs. Given the fact that it wouldn't run at all on the Matrix G200, I'm pretty sure that it will at least be playable. How playable is the question. We're halfway loading now, but at least it's loading. And of course we're going to try the tried and tested Battle Royale. So we're at the lobby screen and we're just going to go in with randoms because, you know, why not? So get going. You probably can't see this, but on the top here, underneath friend link, there is a frames per second counter, and in the lobby screen we're getting about 40 frames per second, which isn't too bad with the 560 Ti. It's getting on a bit. It's only got 1 gig of RAM on this GPU. So before he gets in the battle bus, we're getting between sort of 30 frames per second and about 45. So Will, how is Fortnite so far on the server compared to your machine upstairs?
It's a little bit jerky from mine upstairs, but it's okay.
And it certainly looks okay from here. It dips down every now and then, but that's to be expected with a graphics card of that age.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let Will play on that for a little bit, give it a bit of a workout, and then we're going to try some other benchmarks and some other games, and we'll just see how it goes. And then we are going to put a different graphics card in this. We're going to put my 1070 Ti Amp Extreme Edition from Zotac, if I can fit it in. I haven't actually tested yet. So we're going to try that anyway. So we're going to let Will play for a bit and we'll be right back.
So we've put the other graphics card in and now we're going to see how it works on Fortnite.
Always Fortnite. Gotta be Fortnite.
I love it. You can get Fortnite for free.
While we're waiting for this to load, don't forget this thing has 128 gigs of RAM and it has dual CPUs at 2.6 gig, and as I said earlier, that's 16 cores in total between the two CPUs, giving us a total of 32 threads for it to use. So gaming wise, it's probably not going to make that much difference, but this was all about can you game on a server, and we now have a pretty high-end card in there by today's standards anyway. So at some parts of the game already with the 1070 Ti in this server, we are also able to reach up to about 100 frames per second. So it's definitely made a difference. But you're not actually going to get the full potential of a card such as this, the 1070 Ti, especially an Amp Extreme Edition. So we're now going to try superposition, We did try it on the previous card, but it was just pretty much unusable and it wasn't worth showing. We're just waiting for superposition to load. As I've said already several times probably in this video, that loading times are not affected by the graphics card, obviously. So they do take quite a while on this thing. We're only using standard SATA drives.
There we go, it's going.
Here we go, this is it.
Oh, look at this. Oh, it's so much smoother.
We're on medium settings in superposition at 1080p because that's the maximum this monitor will do. And we're getting around, it's going up to about 60 FPS actually in certain positions.
Oops, I threw it.
So that's not too bad. I'm quite impressed. It seems quite smooth. So physics are being controlled by the GPU in this instance, but I might try running this again, and I might change the NVIDIA settings to use the CPU for the physics and see if it makes a difference in superposition. I'd be quite interested to know if that made any difference, given the amount of cores that we have here. It may make it worse, it may not, but we're going to try that in a second. So we're going to go into configure, surround and physics. We're going to change this to CPU. Okay, so I've set custom settings on that so that I can run it in a window full screen, just to make it easier for us to out-tab out and check how much of the CPUs it's using, how many cores it's using for the physics in this game. So well, if you can, when it's loaded, if you can do the same thing as you did earlier, and if you can go and make everything float, change gravity. You have the power to change gravity, in this game anyway. Frames per second wise, since we've changed the physics to the CPU, it seems to be higher. I don't know if it's just me, but it seems to be more hovering around the 100 mark. We're getting about 60 FPS in superposition with the physics set on CPU cores only. Well, the CPU in general. So we're going to out-tab out of this. Will, if you don't mind out-tabbing out, we're going to see if it is actually using the cores on the CPU for superposition. So probably the camera can't pick this up, but I can see there it's using some of the cores, but it's not utilising most of them. So that was a wasted experiment. It doesn't use the cores. It probably uses the GPU more than anything else for that particular test. So Will, if you can load up another game, we're going to try one more game. So I think it's safe to say that we have concluded that yes, you can game on a server. Should you game on a server though? Well, actually, probably not, no. There are many things that servers are designed for, and gaming on them is not really one of them. Perfectly fine if you've got one lying about. I would not recommend it, however. One, they draw a lot of power. They're designed for different things than your desktop computer, let's say. And also, this is sat in an 8x slot, so that's probably got a little bit of bearing. Not much, but a little bit of bearing on the frames per second we were getting in some of the games. But that's not to say you couldn't play these games at these frame rates. It's perfectly acceptable frame rates. So, can you game on a server, Will?
Yes, you can.
Should you, Will?
Not really.
We hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you like this video, thumbs up the video. If you don't like it, then you know what to do. And also, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification icon if Google does its job properly and it works. And if you want to see more future videos, then please do subscribe. Your subscriptions mean more to us than anything else in the world for our channel.
Thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, click the notifications button, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you later.